In 1936, Major League Baseball held its first ever elections for the Hall of Fame. Players, both active and retired, were up for election. When the votes were finally counted, one man stood above everyone else, Ty Cobb, who got 98.2%. Despite Ty Cobb's known aloofness and Babe Ruth's charms, Cobb still topped the elections. Ruth and Honus Wagner tied for second, with 95.1%. Legendary pitchers Christy Mathewson and Walter Johnson completed the inaugural class of the Hall of Fame. Based on the results, one could argue that, in that brief snapshot in sports history, Cobb was baseball's greatest legend. He was, by all accounts, baseball's greatest player, fast, fierce, and feared. But today Cobb's name doesn't resonate like it once did. He's not on murals, not in highlight reels, not on the tip of every young fan's tongue. Almost a century later, while Ruth continues to rank high in the all-time list of baseball's greatest players, Cobb seems to have become an afterthought. Very few historians rank Cobb as the greatest player of all time. Sometimes he even misses the top 10. Many don't even consider him the greatest center fielder of all time, preferring to give that distinction to Willie Mays or another player. So, what happened? Has Ty Cobb been forgotten, or is the next generation of players simply better? Why has Cobb apparently declined in popularity and recognition? Let's explore the probable reasons. Cobb's records. Any discussion about Ty Cobb's legacy begins with his incredible career and the many major league records he had when he retired. When Cobb retired in 1928, many of his records were considered unbreakable. He had at least 90 major league records, many of them considered at the time as unbreakable. Here are some of them. Cobb's career numbers were so absurd that no one was close to them when he retired. His close friend Tris Speaker was second in hits with 3,514. Speaker was also a distant second in runs with 1,881. Only Rogers Hornsby threatened Cobb's career batting average. Hornsby eventually finished his career at second with 358. Fast forward to today, and here's the status of these records. As we can see, most of these records have since been broken. There was no next version of Ty Cobb who came. No single player appeared and broke all those records. Instead, his records were broken by different players. Maury Wills of the Dodgers broke Cobb's modern single-season record with 104 stolen bases. In 1977, Lou Brock broke Cobb's career stolen bases record. Rickey Henderson now holds the career record for both runs and stolen bases. Most unexpectedly of all, Cobb's career batting average of 366, long considered among baseball's most unbreakable records, was broken. In 2024, Major League Baseball included statistics from the Negro Leagues. This resulted in Josh Gibson's 372 as being officially the highest career batting average of all time. While he remains second, or at least in the top 5 of those categories, no one remembers second place. This is in contrast with Babe Ruth. Many of Cobb's records have been broken, but so were Ruth's home run records, yet somehow Ruth remains popular. The numbers 714 and 60 remain etched in the public psyche. Right now, few people remember Cobb's 96 steals in a season and 892 in his career. Awards. When we talk of modern players, we typically discuss how many awards a player has won. Among the most prestigious ones are the Most Valuable Player Award, the Gold Gloves, and the Silver Slugger. Since 2019, there are also all MLB teams to honor the best players in each position. During Cobb's playing career, however, there was only one award, the Most Valuable Player Award. It was first issued in 1911 as the Chalmers Award, and Cobb won easily. He was a unanimous winner as he led the league in WAR, runs, hits, RBIs, stolen bases, batting average, and slugging. During that period, however, there was a no-repeat winner rule for MVP awards. Given how he dominated the decade, it's not impossible to imagine him winning year after year. This would only change in 1930. There were also no awards from 1915 to 1921. Had all those awards been available at that time, Cobb surely would have won more than a few. This is probably one reason people subconsciously dismiss the achievements of players from another era. This is true not just in baseball, but in other major sports as well. Cobb's personality. Another probable reason is, ironically, his fiery, competitive nature. His intensity helped him conquer the sport, but he made few friends. Over the years, many accounts have highlighted Cobb's aggressive and abrasive personality. Stories of his violent temper and on-field fights have painted him in a negative light. This contrasts sharply with the image of more celebrated players like Babe Ruth, whose personality and charisma endeared them to fans. Today's societal values place a greater emphasis on sportsmanship and personal conduct. Cobb's reputedly combative nature and alleged racist behavior do not align well with contemporary views on athlete behavior and role models. It didn't help that some mostly discredited biographies have tainted his reputation with their embellished and invented stories. For example, Al Stump's biography of Cobb exaggerated his image as a violent man through sensationalized and fictional stories. Once a film based on the book was released in 1994, Cobb's reputation took a beating, even if the movie was a box office flop. Several historians have discredited Stump's work, but the damage to Cobb's reputation has been done. While Cobb wasn't the most amiable or peaceful man, these books tarnished his reputation and amplified his faults. Unfortunately, the perception has stuck. To some fans, Cobb became a villain, a relic of a crueler, uglier version of the game. Buried in the myth of his violent and heartless persona is how he fought for other players. One of the players who bitterly disliked him was former teammate Sam Crawford. When Cobb died, it was only then that Crawford learned that Cobb had been secretly lobbying for his induction into the Hall of Fame. Cobb was also among the few former Major League players to visit Joe Jackson after the sport made him an outcast. In the modern era of legacy reevaluation, Cobb became an easy target. Fair or not, the myth overtook the man. Changes in the game. When I began playing the game, baseball was about as gentlemanly as a kick in the crotch. Cobb played mainly in a different era where contact, not power, was king. The game emphasized contact hitting, bunting, stolen bases, hit-and-run plays, and aggressive base running. These are no longer central in today's home run-driven game. Modern fans often evaluate players through the lens of power, OPS, WAR, and highlight reel plays, areas where Cobb's legacy feels less tangible compared to sluggers like Babe Ruth. And since Cobb hit only 117 home runs, younger fans might underestimate his offensive dominance. Nowadays, the offense is dominated by the three true outcomes: home runs, strikeouts, and walks. Almost every player swings for power. Launch angles and exit velocity metrics drive a lot of hitting philosophy. Cobb's value isn't as obvious without context, and his game doesn't align neatly with many modern stat narratives. Today, however, his on-base percentage is higher than many famous sluggers, such as Jimmy Fox, Mickey Mantle, and Frank Thomas. Pitching has also changed. During Cobb's time, starters often pitched complete games and regularly reached at least 200 innings per season. There were also fewer relievers, as starters took pride in pitching 9 innings per game. So, it was likely that a batter faces the same pitcher at least thrice in a game. Now, there are specialized bullpens. In-game strategy. In the dead ball era, strategy was based on instincts and observation. This played into the strengths of cerebral players like Cobb. Nowadays, most teams rely heavily on sabermetrics, data-driven scouting, and real-time video review. Lack of visual legacy. The greatness of Ty Cobb was something that had to be seen, and to see him was to remember him forever, said fellow Hall of Famer George Sisler. Unfortunately, very few people still alive have seen Cobb play. Along with the absence of highlight reels and videos, we are left imagining how good Cobb once was. This is also common with the earlier stars of the other major sports. Cobb played before the widespread use of film. Thus, there's very little video of him. And what exists is usually grainy or silent. This is in contrast to today's game, where every play is shown in multiple angles. We can easily watch highlights of on-field action. Modern media extensively covers current players, and the history of baseball tends to highlight more recent stars. This shift in focus results in older players like Cobb becoming less prominent in the public eye. In the age of YouTube and highlights, Cobb is harder to connect with, emotionally or visually. Polls. Finally, let's evaluate Cobb's popularity by looking at some rankings of the all-time greats by experts in the field. We're listing 5 of the most notable rankings. The oldest is from 1998, while the latest is from 2025. Since the Sporting News list was created in the 20th century, more modern players have been excluded, but most of these names remain on many future lists. ESPN's 2022 list is almost similar to Sporting News, with a notable difference being the addition of Bonds. Bleacher Report's list includes both Barry Bonds and Negro Leagues legend Josh Gibson. Here, Cobb is second only to Ruth. However, in a list released in the same year, Bleacher Report listed Willie Mays as the greatest center fielder of all time, ahead of Cobb. The 2 latest lists by New Arena and Sportsnaut rank Cobb 6th and 5th, respectively. New Arena's link is unique, as it lists 2 relatively modern players in the top 10. It's also the only one that didn't rank Ruth number 1. Notably, these 2 lists both rank Cobb behind Mays. If you were to summarize these rankings, Ruth was the runaway leader in the polls, followed by Willie Mays. Cobb is 3rd, followed closely by Barry Bonds. However, it's also worth noting that Cobb was ranked at least 6th in each list. Thank you for watching. Do you agree that Ty Cobb has been forgotten? Or did changes in the game diminish his legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a lot. Likewise, please consider joining my YouTube community and supporting me on Patreon. Thank you.